All right, let's say you want to use this same script. You have another assignment to provide a different environment in cloud. But this time, instead of dev environment, you want to produce test environments using the same. You are just going to come here and you are going to create a new file. And we call it test.var. Test.tf variables. So you find that here, and then the same cider. So you want to say your cider VPC cider equals what's your value? The other one was 10. Yeah, we'll just stick with 10 because 10 is the private IP addressing for A. So we'll say 10.60 this time .0.0 is fine. All right. So running the same script, the same main, we are now using this to create a different environment. We'll see. Yes. And this time we are telling the system, create a different environment, but this time you are using the file test.tf.bar. So you come here and you say test.tf. All right. So auto approve. All right. So do you get it now? So this is why we use if you remember the command we used in last year. Okay, for this advanced Terraform, and then we're trying to run that when we loaded it, and then we read this. So they want to load it. All right, so this is what we're trying to do here. When we say Terraform apply, then we refer to the file that had the values of the variables of the resources that we're trying. I did not intend to load this. Are we done with the other one? One resource added. Let's go back to the other one. We're not done with it. So yes. Okay. So yeah, now so what do we have? Terraform state. Show. What is the state? What resources do we have? Oh, sorry. Terraform. Not Terraform. Yeah. What's the command?
Show.
Terraform
show.
State. Yes, show is the one. Yeah. I wanted to show state list. That's the one I wanted to. Yeah. So it tells me that we have a resource that we have not collapsed. We have not this. Yeah, Terraform will show is another command that will give me the detail of this particular resource. Terraform show. They tell me this VPC is made up of all of this. Show me all. All right. So all right. So now that Terraform state list has shown me that we have a resource. Let's quickly destroy. It will be, how do we create it? We must destroy the same way we created like this, right? So we have to destroy that. That was refer to the dependent files to destroy. All right. So that was the introduction I wanted to give. But in any case, if you decide, well, I don't need any of this long test environment, dev environment, I don't need that. I just want to create my VPC, then you have no problem. It's just trying to show you that beyond what you already know, Terraform is a big man. If that is the case, you have no problem. All you do is just put this line as part of your variable.tf. So you don't need to be creating the tf vars anymore. If we just put this, the file we had originally, we just put the value, the default value. If we copy this, Ctrl C, and then we'll come here and we say our variables.tf, this same file, and then we'll just add this line. This is the only line I will do. And then we'll save. Then there is no need to refer to any other file, right? So when we say I'll say Terraform init because the configuration file changed. Aware of that. Then we'll now say Terraform. Let's see. So this time, without adding any other file, it knows where. Without reference to any other file, it knows where. All right. So that is fine. Then we say go ahead, apply. You want to can add. All right. So you just leave that. All right. So in operations, you are more likely to have all of these files, like you already saw with that example that I showed you. And then you can now make reference to particular TF vars that you want the command line to draw stuff and values for to create it. All right. Okay, one was added. So this time I want to destroy Terraform. Okay. Yeah. So that was variable. Any question on that?
Yeah, excuse me, sir. So it's important to make a note of how you created it, because I was just wondering if you leave it, if you create an environment and it stays there for years and there's now a need to destroy it, if there are several ways to destroy and you don't remember exactly which one, or it doesn't matter, you just try any destroy, right? Until one destroys it.
You remember the command with which you created it, so you use that same command to destroy. If you don't remember the command, to become cumbersome trying to destroy with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then these are the commands basically. So if you created with this command and maybe using a Terraform state list or any of those commands can help you remember, oh, this is the resource that's created. Oh, I must have used this command to create. And therefore, you must add the same command, Ctrl C, Ctrl V to destroy. Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Was that your question?
Exactly. Yes. Thank you.
For this one, it's file reference here. All right. Yeah, any other observation?
Yeah, sorry, I want to find out, when you talked about production environment, development environment,
Mm-hmm.
are those different environments in actual sense,
Mm,
or you are just deploying maybe within the same VPC, you have production instances, and then dev instances maybe of your EC2, or or are they different infrastructures in terms of
yeah,
production and environment? Yeah.
yeah, it's the second example that you gave. So we are just saying that there's really nothing to draw. So it's basically like before you are deploying an application, for example. Okay, this is beautiful. You are deploying an application, for example, and you are deploying within your VS Code, right? Everything you are. Can you see my VS Code?
Yes.
Maybe you connect this to GitHub. That's the next thing we are going to, after this course. And then you draw your codes, you run your codes on Docker here. Everything is beautiful here. But this is not your production environment. All of this is your development environment. And then after you develop and you run all your commands, everything seems beautiful. You now deploy to from here. After your development environment, you may now want to deploy to
Production.
a container. So we are going to install Docker here, and then we'll deploy to Docker, we'll browse, everything is fine. Oh, beautiful. All right. Before you now say, okay, now that everything is working on my system, let me now push it to cloud for the first time and see how it will behave in cloud. But even at that time, you are still not pushing directly to production. Production is, once it's in production, the whole world sees. So you still want to deploy to a test environment within production. So these are the different environment that we're talking about. In our own case, our production environment is local to our system. Okay, but if we were using Cloud9, for example, then to no longer be local to our system, it will have to be something in cloud that we have to first of all. So production environment essentially is the same kind of infrastructure, but you do not want to disrupt live network, the live traffic. So you are testing, you are developing, you are testing, you are doing rehearsal before you now make sure that, oh, it's perfect, everything is good. And maybe you wait for your supervisor to approve, you now deploy to environment. So by that command, we're just saying, well, I do not want to deploy to production yet. Let me test it in different environments. Please help me create this environment, this kind of VPC with this kind of EC2, so that I will deploy this application to that environment and test it there for finally production. And that is where we use prod. It's okay, finally we've tested it in these different areas. Everything is working. We've tested it on Google Chrome, on Mozilla, on this, all of the different environments. Not manually though. We automated the test. Everything is good. Finally, I'm ready to deploy to production. If you did not have the production, then we use that command to set up the production VPC, put production EC2, like I mentioned, in the VPC, create the production environment as we want it. It is ready for finally deploy that app.
Okay. Well, thank you.
So everything we'll be talking about till this point is about resources and essentially infrastructure. Beyond this point, we'll now be talking about building the application that we are talking about, that we talk about all of the time. So that I now say, okay, the whole essence of building infrastructure is for this application to ultimately do it. But the applications do not come as applications. They come as codes, as Java codes, as Python codes, as JS, all kinds of code. So we'll see how to take those codes. We don't necessarily write the codes, even though at this stage we have an idea how codes are written. We don't write them. Developers write them. When they write them, we take the code from there as DevOps people, because as DevOps people, we are between developers and operation. Whatever the developers do, we take from them. Essentially they do codes. We take their codes, convert the codes to application, do all of the testing, build the CI/CD pipeline that would automate the process of deploying that code to the different environments that I mentioned earlier. But ultimately, you want to see that application is delivered safely, securely, in a highly scalable way to production. It's when it's in production that the 4 billion customers of Google will now see that, Google has changed the color of their logo to this, or Google has done this, Google has done this, because we just pushed it to production like this. You don't want to put something in production that will require correction later on. You must make sure it's perfect. So that is the reason for all of the testing here and there, the different environment, make sure that everything is found. Security-wise, legally, governance, in all of the regulations, and of course, technically, everything. All right. So, statements like this, understanding the big picture, like I call it like this, are the soft language that you bring to the interview, so that you're not just talking technical, and your view is limited to what you do as a automation engineer, for example. You're able to bring the relevance of that skill, that knowledge to the big picture. How else to describe big picture? That yes, you understand that this ball does not start at your table, but this is the contribution you will be making as a cloud solutions architect, for example. This is the contribution you'll be making, even though you know that before it got here and after it leaves you, this is how everything works together to meet the company business objective. That is what I want you to talk about, isn't it? Yes, good question. Any other question?